All right, welcome back, guys. Time to get busy on the Steiger again. So I picked up something new. Got some stripping wheels and little sanding discs for one of those things there. I can use it on the drill or the die grinder. Just the die grinder is so loud, you know, it's just so hard on your ears. It has the stripping wheels here and a little thin stripping wheels like that. Kind of cool. So I got that pretty cheap on Amazon. Maybe I'll put a link in the video. I don't know. If I get to it, I'll throw that on there. And they're pretty good because they're like, I think they're 20 bucks for a whole bunch of them. So you get a whole bunch of those sanding discs and one of these, and it's actually pretty good neoprene. So it's kind of cool. I've been using that a little bit in some of the corners. Like I said, maybe I'll get an electric grinder. I don't really like using the drill's kind of slow, and you know, it kind of catches on stuff. And the die grinder is just too loud, the air one, for doing a lot of it. It's hard on your body. A little sample right there. Just did the corner up in here. That's the kind of thing. I just thought maybe I'll get that for those. Be kind of easy. I like the stripping wheel method. It's kind of cool too. I have to wait for the chemical, so it's kind of nice. So I forgot maybe in the last video to show you the condition of these. They were pretty bad. The whole thing was rotted out here, and there's no pieces for the stuff. I mean, it could be fixed, but it would take a lot of time to fix these. And when I played around with this, it just broke off. Just so you know, the tops of the doors, when I shut them now with those on, it shuts really good. I'm very happy with the doors. So once I opened up these holes a little bit, they were a little bit off, you know. That's stuff I expected again. And you know, I put that on there. It seemed to work pretty good. It had wiggle room so that I could put the rubber in. Should be just fine. Should shut pretty good with the rubber in there. Seemed like to me. But I went on the road yesterday. Went to Arizona. Went to a guy who's closing his wrecking yard. It was Jan Blair. Had a wrecking yard for years out in Phoenix. And he's closing it up. He's going to be there about another month. And everything's going to get crushed that's left. So he's getting rid of stuff like crazy, selling stuff pretty cheap. So I bought a couple things. I'll show you what I got. Picked up a big nut transmission, and it's actually, what's nice is, well, I know that the nose cone is a 211 part number, so I know that that's a real bus nose cone. A lot of times they'll put a bug trans in it and just flip the ring and pinion and then put it in the bus. I think this one was out of a bus, so it's got a big nut transmission. They're getting harder to find, so I figured I better just grab that while I was there. And he crushed he threw away a bunch of them. He only had this one left. Otherwise I was going to try to get more of them, but I really didn't have. You can see I was already putting all that in the back of the truck. I don't think I could put two of them up there, and it was too heavy to get up in the back with the people we had there. He's like 70 some odd years old. We were talking old times, you know. He's 73 right now, and he knew a lot of people I know and stuff, and we were just, would have been cool to film that, but didn't get to do that, so bummer. If you know some of you guys, we were talking about racers we knew, and he used to be a racer, and photos of the cars he had, and some of the cars he had are painted by our other guys that, you know, we were just checking out stuff. It was a fun little trip over there. It was kind of in a hurry, so I didn't get a chance to tape anything, to videotape anything. I don't know if he really wanted me taping around the shop, you know, outside out there. I kind of asked him, and he didn't really answer on it, so that's all right. I got one piece of wing glass. I don't know if it's any good. Probably not. Oh, it's cracked. He told me none of the glass was any good. So, but it did have a frame. I got a bunch of these. So he got me a bunch of these. Were very cheap. So I got a bunch of them. I just thought, you know, we need them out here where I'm at. So I didn't want them to get, they were just going to go to the crusher if I didn't buy them. So I got a bunch of these. They don't have any of the bottom parts. Mine were marginal. Might be able to use them again. I'll look at them real quick. But I got all these here at a cheap price, so that was kind of cool. So I know I can get some parts out of these. Plus I'd ordered some off the Samba, just because I wasn't sure he wasn't getting back to me, and I guess he's kind of busy. So I didn't know if he already sold them or whatnot. So I just ordered some anyway to make sure I got them. I got glass, but the frames are pretty shot on those. The amazing thing is the window dividers are actually complete and pretty well in good shape. Usually they're shot and gone or missing. Actually, really good shape right there. So that's kind of wild. And they don't have the little clips on them because this was before they had that. I'm supposing that these are the original ones because I think they're gray. And they look like they would belong on the truck. I thought maybe 62 was signal glass, but it must not be. Or maybe it was a mid-year change. I don't know. Forget what I was going to show you guys. But anyway, here's the other one. Of course, that part's all rotten off of there. These things, the bolts kind of just came out. Could be welded back in. I got some that are just this part of the frame that are in perfect shape. I can cut this right here and then just butt these in there. I don't know if I'll do that. Maybe just use one of those other frames, huh? Well, now I remember what I was going to tell you guys about these here. They're intact. They were all together, but this part of it's really thin. So, these are actually, I expected these to be rusted out. Like on my other one, they were really rusty. And these weren't really that rusty other than this part. So it's kind of weird. Rust comes in different places on every VW. So these ones are a little rusty inside, but they're not that thin or anything. They were in pretty good shape. But just the ends, like these things here. So I might have to remake some of those and put them on them. It's kind of hard to make those, but, this is like, I'm going to say probably 16 gauge. So I'll probably make them out of 18. It's a little easier to bend. I don't think I could make them out of 16. So I might just make some little pieces out of 18 and put them in there. Maybe it is 18. It's a little thicker than the 1mm. So it might be 18 or it could be 16 even. But I'll make them out of 18. I think I used 18 to work fine last time. So I'll just make some of those little pieces and then get those all fixed up. Get those things ready to paint up some, assemble them back up in a little while. Be a while before I get to that, I'm sure. But I just want to show you guys the condition of these. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. I guess I'll work more on that, but I don't know. I'll just figure that out, and you guys will see that in the next video, part of the video, and then I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Yeah, guys, I was just checking out this trans. Maybe unload it here in a minute, but I was just thinking about this. I looked at it, and I was like, why would they paint this red, and why would they paint a transmission red? Then look at the axles in there. I don't know what they are. They're painted too. Then I got the drums like that. I think what it might be, and maybe it's just my thoughts, and maybe you guys comment about it, but I think I'm betting that this was in a buggy, because I didn't take it out of a van. It was just there. He just said it's just here. I mean, it's gonna go in the thing, so I figured I better sell it. Good price. So I got everything with the drums. So I was like, the drums are like $100 a piece or something like that. I don't know, maybe more. I haven't bought them in a while. I got a good deal on the last set I bought. I think they were over $100. But I don't know if the drums are any good. You never know either. But I think what it is, and the reason I'm looking at it, is I think back in the old days, to gear down your transmission, they would put the gear reduction boxes on, or they would put a bus transmission in a buggy, because when you have a buggy, you have really tall tires, so they always wanted to, try and gear them down, so they put the bus transmissions in some of them. And it looks to me, like it was. And look, I see this here. There's a bolt in here. That, I think maybe they just put a bolt in it instead of the stud, so they can pull the engine out easier or something. I don't know. That's weird. But I think that's what it was. It was probably in a buggy. It doesn't mean it's not a bus, gears. It It could be either way. It could be bus gears, it could be bug gears that are in here, it could be anything. But it's got the ear reduction boxes, which are, you know, they're becoming less and less easy to find. Put the big nuts on them. Everybody wants them. They like to get rid of the small nut ones, put the big nuts on there because you get more. They bolt right in the early trucks and buses, and they'll, you know, give you a lot more gear. And these are 1.26 to 1, and the other ones, the small nut with the 36 millimeter nuts on them, right here. This would be 36 millimeters instead of 46. Those ones are 1.39, so you lose a lot with the smaller nut. And part of that reason was because they had taller tires on them, and the early ones. So they had 15-inch tires, and they were really tall and skinny. You know, in 1960, late 64, I think it was, they switched to the big nut, and it was like a split year, I believe. I'm not sure. And then they started the big nut, or it might have been 65. I'm not sure. 64 is, I know that some of them have 15s, but I don't know for sure on that when it changed. But I know 65s and on had the big nut, and they went to a 14-inch tire, 14-inch wheel. So it had a smaller tire, smaller wheel. So that was kind of why they did that. So anyway, that's just something about that. Comments on that would be interesting to see what you guys say. All right, guys, let's talk about this repair a little bit. Of course, this is somewhat lapped and somewhat butted in a round area. It's fine to do either. I was just watching another guy's video and he says, oh, the only way to do it is butt weld. Hey, younger guy, I get it. You know, that's kind of the next gen thing. Us guys who've been doing it for, you know, I don't know, 40 years or so, something, kind of learned that both ways work. And, you know, it just depends on the repair you're doing. So what I'm going to do is sometimes, you know, this would be fine just to lap it because it's round. Okay, you can fake a lot of stuff in on round. You don't have to pound it down perfect, you know, and get it. I had a scam caller. Anyway, I love those. Anyway, so you don't have to fake it down and get it, you know, get it down and butt weld everything in and to do a good job. It's not, you know, there's some things you need to lap and some things you need to butt. And then, you know, and then there's some things you can make a judgment call on. It just depends on what you're doing. So, you know, sometimes you need the strength of a lap weld. Sometimes you need the, you know, you want the looks of a butt weld. Butt welding is not as strong as lapping. You know, a lot of guys will argue that. But honestly, you know, when you butt weld it, right next to your weld, again, the metal's melted. And when it's melted on that very edge, sometimes it can crack on that area next to the weld. Not right through the weld, but usually right next to it. So that's what can happen there, especially when you're on thinner metal, like especially 22 gauge. Honestly, I would never butt weld a 22 gauge piece of metal. 20 gauge is kind of right at the limit. This is 20 gauge. So anyway, and if you're butt welding, it's a whole lot easier to use cold rolled steel. If you're trying to use the other stuff that resists, you know, the electrogalvanized stuff like I use a lot of times right here, using cold rolled is really the only way to do a good butt weld, because you need that, you know, that stuff. So it takes a little bit more heat to melt, and you end up burning through it a lot more. So the cold rolled is a lot easier to use for that. And you know, again, this one I can get to the inside of it. I can paint the inside pretty easily. Not an issue as far as that goes. So we're going to go with a butt weld on this just to show you it can be done. But what I did is I'm tacking it in place like this. This is a lot of different ways to butt weld. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I could cut this to shape. I could try and fit it. It's a rounded area. It's going to be really hard to do. So I'm going to show you how to do it by just putting my patch in here, and I'm going to use this edge to go ahead and do it. So this is butt welded down here. This is butt welded in here. Had a little bit of a gap, so there's a little bit of moundy weld there. I'll just grind that down. It'll be great when I'm done. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to cut this at like a 45-degree angle right along the edge of this. So I'm going to cut from here to here and go over about right here, right now, with the cutoff wheel at a 45. Let me just hold it on there so you can see. All right, so we're going to turn this sucker into a lap, into a butt. And what you want to do is you want to hold your cutoff wheel at a 45-degree angle and cut along, and use this as a guide. Go right along the edge of that at a 45, and I'm going to do a little bit here. And then what I'm going to do after that, I'm going to push it down, and it'll butt really tightly together right there. You could just cut it straight and then just do, like I said with the other video, you can do, you know, the way where you do a C, you go, instead of going upward, you know, on your weld, you go across this way, across this way, across this way, just little tiny welds right next to the other. And I do like a C motion where I hit this metal, I hit the weld, and then I get up to that metal. So that's a little bit of a C, 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 all the way along. But first what I would do is, of course, tack it, so it's tight. That's important, that it's very, you know, that you can't rub your fingernail across, because that's the reason you're doing the butt weld, is to make sure that, you know, it's a flatter surface, less filler, they say, but, you know, you still end up with filler. So, you know, and then you end up with thinner metal because you're grinding more. You know, it's all in how you want to do something. There's no right and wrong way. It's a repair. You're doing it however you prefer to do it. And a lot of times I prefer to do stuff with a lap because it's faster, and, you know, I can tap that lap down. And they say, well, but you can't bend that metal again. It's like, dude, what are you thinking about an accident later on for right now? You're just restoring something, okay? And if and when that ever happens, or wants to get restored again, then they may do it different at that time. It's all up to them. So anyway, let's go ahead and do this, and I'll talk to you in the next portion here. All right, so if you can see, there's a pretty narrow gap here, easy to fill with weld. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and see, I'm using this being held together just like I would like a Cleco blind clamp. Okay, and so that's keeping this part down, okay? And then this part has actually kind of butted nice and tight together, and it's, you know, I'm hammer on a little bit, you know, and I can get to this side of it, so no problem. I can remove all the old metal that's going to come away, because I'm going to end up with a little strip piece, so I can get that out of there. If it ends up in a blind area, that's kind of a drag. But and then I'll go ahead and hammer this down really tight, and I'll tack it. Remember how I showed you in the other video? If you watch my butt welding video, I'm just going to go ahead and push this down to where they're perfectly tight, and then I'll just tack it a few different places, and I'm going to replace my lap with a butt. So let's say you put on a panel and you go, oh my God, it's just way too high. I don't like the way that looks. And it's going to be too hard to fill. So all you do is you just cut it at an angle next to the existing piece, cut it at a 45 this way, at a 45, and it gets a nice tight butt. And we'll go ahead and butt weld that up and take a look at it. All right, so this section is done here up to there. Now what I'm going to do is just cut a little bit further down. I can cut probably, I'm just going to go ahead and cut most of the way across here, maybe get to this spot, and then I'm just going to work my way around until it's all nice and flat and butt welded together. You can just see how that's going to just be not a problem at all. Again, guys, I'm working my way along. I just cut down, kind of give it a little hammer work. And what this does is this will hold in place while I can cut here. So this area, so I'll just go ahead and now I'm going to go ahead and cut all the way down to here and then finish it out. Take a look at it. So I knocked it down a little bit, cut it through. See, it's a little high. Just tightens up into a nice butt. Sometimes this is a good way to do it, sometimes it isn't. It just depends on what you want to do. No cookie cutter. Everything's different. Alright, so it's all held in place nice and flat. I'm going to go ahead and finish it up. We'll take a look at it, grind it down. What I'm going to do now is, for me, for some of you newer guys, it's going to be better just to do your little spot. Take the C motion, go from one surface to the weld to the other surface. So like a little bit of a C. And just keep doing that all the way along. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead. I'll probably just run each one of these. One of the other guys commented that that's typically more of how I do it. I get them a little closer together like this, and then I'll just run from one to the next myself. But I'm not going to go just like from this one to this one to this one. Maybe I'll go from here to a little section here, a little section there, a little section there, create less warpage. You know, it all depends on how you want to do it and what you're doing. Since this is round, I could probably just go from here to here, here to here, and just go all the way around. And it's got enough strength from the metal being round. But if it was flat, then I'd probably want to do like a little bit here, a little bit over there, a little over here, you know, and work my way around just like a little passes. So little ways, things to learn how to do it better. Just showing you guys a couple little things I know. I mean, yeah, I love it when guys go, "Oh, you don't do it right." It's like, okay, whatever. Come on back and some other day and you'll see something different you might like. All right, that's that. Let's grind her down. And as you can see, guys, it turns out really nice. You can have your nice flat butt weld, almost no filler probably. You know, it's like I said, it just depends on the time, money, whatever you've got, and how much work you've got to do on this thing. I got so much to do. In fact, the last two ones I've done, I had so much to do that trying to do everything like this, it just would just take too much time. It takes a little bit longer, not that much really, but it's just another way to do your repairs. So you could lap weld it on there, and you could look at it, you know, like maybe when I did the quarter over here, I could have probably just said, "Nah, I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, cut it and then butt it," and it'd have been fine. I could have done it that way. There's a million different ways to do this stuff. And this is just one of them. I'm just showing you guys different things. You know, I like to show lap welding because nobody shows it on the internet, because they say it's the wrong way to do it. There's no wrong way. It's how you want to do it. That's whatever it is. As long as it's strong, it doesn't crack, you know, and suits your visual needs, whatever they are. That's all you need to worry about. So I reached inside, pulled off the remaining part, you know, just kind of wiggled it around and pulled it off. Got it to look pretty good. You can see the weld is on the inside and the outside. So I penetrated all the way through. Got a couple little holes I got to touch up, of course. No big deal. It all depends, like I said, on what you want to do. So now I'm going to roll this edge over real quick. I'm going to grind that thing so that it's right shape, and then I'll just kind of roll that over. We'll take a look at it. I did use the pinch welder to do this part, and then I welded a little bit with, I actually drilled holes first, and I went, wait a minute, I got an edge. I was thinking I had to go all the way to here, but I actually remembered that it's right here. So pinch weld this edge with this guy. Again, you guys are new to the channel. These things are great. Get one. Right, I was going to show you using the skin zipper on this thing here, just a little section. I can't find it right now, so I was just going to put that in this video, because then that'll show you how to get the skin to be real tight. If you want to just find that out, just jump back to my videos there under my channel. Make sure you subscribe, and then just go back to the VW bus nose, and that'll show you how a skin zipper works. It'll tighten this up really perfect. I just can't find it right now. Kind of got stuff a little bit everywhere right this moment. Middle of 2 different projects. So anyway, pretty well done. Nice here. Now, if I wanted to, so this one here I just lapped, okay? If I wanted to, all I would have to do is cut, let's see, this way up here, and then it would cut through both layers, right? Cut through right at the weld, just work my way along that line, and then I could put in, you know, either a Cleco blind clamp inside here, or I could put a, better yet, I'd probably just they have those butt welding clamps at Harbor Freight Tools, and you could just put one in there and just pull it in tight and just butt weld it, and just put, you know, take a hammer and just kind of knock the clamp along, weld a little bit of it, and knock the clamp along, just, you know, and work it that way. I don't know if I'm going to do it. You know, honestly, there's, like I said, there's so much to do to this roof. I don't want to try and do everything butt welded. But if you did a lap, the reason I'm showing this is if you did a lap weld and you didn't like how much filler you might have to put in it or whatever, or you couldn't hammer it straight, you know, you can just go change it to a butt. You know, it's no big deal. You just cut at a 45-degree angle like this, so that your metal, it makes this one a little bit longer, and that, you know, and you just cut up that way and then push it together and, you know, knock the roof into it a little bit, just kind of hammer it along, get it tight, you know, start hitting your spots on there, and just work your way along little by little, get all the way across there, and have that old butt welded tight. It's no big deal. I could do it just for fun, just to show you guys. It'd be kind of interesting to see, because then you guys could see that, you know, whatever you do, when you do it this way, by doing a lap, if you're flanging it, you can't really do that. There's a lot of guys that want to flange everything. Yeah, flanging is fine. You know, other guys go, well, you got to flange it to do it right. It's like, there's no, it's all how you want to do it. What outcome you want, and how much filler you want to put in there. And if you don't want any filler, you know, whatever, you know, it's all in how you want to do your car. And you could just change it from this to a butt without really too much work. You just go through, and because it looks like a lot. It looks like there's a big amount, but if you put a straight edge on there, it's not very much filler. And so it just, you know, like I said, it's all in how you want to do it. So all we have to do is just take my cutting wheel right here and run it right at between the 2 layers right there at a 45. Remember, when you cut at a 45, it kind of makes the metal, this one would be cut at an angle, so it kind of almost laps it, but it almost pulls it in perfectly straight. So it's just the way, one of the things you can do. Anyway, we'll just move on. Forgot to mention one thing. The next thing you can do is, if you want to really do it, quote unquote, right. I mean, there's no wrong way. Okay, it's all, like I said, it's all your opinion, how you want to do it. But the next thing you could do, if you really want to make it so it's, you know, more like a one solid metal repair, is instead of using the MIG welder, go ahead and spot it with the MIG welder, get it in place, and then get your TIG out. That's what that's for right there. Get your TIG out and then run it about 30 amps and just sit there and TIG up the area. And the reason the TIG welder is a little bit better is it enables you to be able to hammer on the metal a little bit more. You know, this MIG, actually, I can do hammer work on this pretty good, but it gives you a little bit better, more pliable weld that you can move and stuff. And you know, that's why I got a lot of guys, you know, to the next level. If you're doing if you're trying to do crazy stuff, you know, if that's your choice. I'd rather myself not do that. But if you were, you could just TIG weld that up, and that's the next level. Again, the metal's got to be really clean. TIG welding does not tolerate any, you know, paint on the metal. So if it's smoking or anything, it's just not going to work out right for you. So it becomes a lot more difficult to do. So that's, it just depends, like I said, that's another level to it. Anyway, just telling you about that so that it's out there. Oh, I just thought this might be fun. So I think I'm just going to run this and turn this one into a butt just to show you guys it can be done, and it's not really that hard to do. Just in case you run into this issue where you just don't like the way it looks for whatever reason, and you want to turn your lap weld into a butt, let's just run this and see how it turns out. Probably it'll turn out fantastic. Now the only issue is behind here I've got another layer of metal, so there'll be another piece of metal back there. It's not going to hurt anything, but just letting you know that. I already know. So get in there and I cut a little bit and kind of help this find a nice spot. Grind it up, do a couple spots. You just do a little section, do another little section, and the welds here hold it in place, and then the butt welds over here behind it hold it in place, so it kind of does the same thing. But it just, depends on what you want to do. Well, let's do it. It'd be kind of fun, right? So that's where I started. Right, since I got a little bit more of a gap than usual, because I'm kind of missing my cut edge, because it had a lot of welds on there. So all I do is I start here at one of the surfaces and I make a C. So I start here and I go around, I touch the weld and I go back to the other side. Go around, touch it, and I stop. Go a little spot, stop. So I start at this metal, go to the weld, and then to this metal. So if you can see that, you kind of just make a C motion, stop, wait a second, make a C motion, stop, wait a second, and just work your way along. You notice I have a nice uniform, after I ground it, nice uniform weld. That's how you do it when you get a wider gap. It's not hard. It just takes a little bit more time. It just depends on, like I said, depends on what you want to do, how much time you want to spend. You might like this better. It's up to you. I'll just showing you. You guys use it. My auto teacher, I remember when I was a kid, young guy in high school, flip off your teacher. I see that. It's kind of like that on the internet, right? You can flip off your teacher all the time, by giving them thumbs down or writing a nasty comment or whatever. Yeah, I was that guy. I did that when I was in high school. And the next day I'd apologize to him because, now when I'm 56, I go back, and I realize he was right every time, and it's, through life, you just got learning lessons all the way through, and you learn new stuff as you go all the way through your life. So, I get it when young guys make comments, they don't know yet and whatever. And that's fine. That's how you learn. I did the same thing. So anyway, just letting you guys know that that's okay with me now. Move on. I could do a little more grinding on that. Just get another, instead of using 40, go to whatever, and 120 and all that. Just get it looking like brand new metal, all one piece. I don't need to do that because I'm going to put a coat of filler on there. But just showing you that if you get in a pickle and you get, you know, your gap starts getting too wide or whatever, you can always just do this. Cut it, just turn it into a butt. You know, it's the same difference. You can butt weld the whole thing together. You can lap a piece on, just cut through the two layers and peel them off and butt them together. However you want to do it. There's a million different ways to do this metal stuff. It's, you know, all depends on what you're trying to do, what finish you want to put into it, how much time you want to put into it, and, you know, and how much money you want to put into it. That's all what it makes the difference of, you know, some people don't want to put as much money into something. You can lap a lot of stuff, save a lot of time. Want to put a lot more money into it, but everything, you know, make everything letter perfect and don't use any filler, you know, whatever. I don't want to do that anymore. I've already done that stuff. Forget it. So anyway, there you go. We're looking good. I went ahead and got that thing pretty. I mean, it's low a little bit because, like I said, I'm going to put a little bit of filler on it. That's how I want it. And it's 20 gauge. I don't like to take all the welds off. If you grind everything off, you know, in 20 gauge, not much metal left there. Not my way to do it. Well, again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Come back for the filler on this. See how it looks. It's going to look great. Use a good high quality filler and it'll last for many, many years. Just as long as if you used lead or try to metal finish it or whatever. You know, paint only lasts so long, and so does filler. If you use the good stuff, it'll last and be fine. But anyway, that's a little bit about this project, and I'm going to keep going on this. We'll be back for more videos. Luckily, I got this one out today, so wasn't expecting to, but I got an hour or so here. I could work on this, a few hours. I could work on this and get this done, show you guys something cool. Talk to you in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe.